and just straight towards Nova. There.
Looking at Malibuka's loader here, I'm not too happy. Tags, but as you saw there, he struggled to jump into the box. You know? I mean, there you go. He switches his into the box that they got all the surge pretty much fine until that first moving. And there you go. One round 3 in NES, NOS, or EU, and I'm not surprised, Shayo.
Yeah, I mean, across the whole. Every shot is perfect and lands at the best times. I just feel like, once again, timing is so good for this duo, or even, you know, the build's a little bit incorrect in moving in, and they have an entire wall to pass. Clement and Floki right in front of them. Leader on the left side as well, with Irazumi coming in what, 50th place overall, so they're ready, they're looking to go, and Floki is also driving straight in.
Now, this is a pretty tough zone for them to rotate in on, and especially when you're late. I mean, I'm expecting the zone to pull right towards Sleepy Sound side, and there's a lot of little hills and boxes that people are going to be basing up on. Luckily for them, there's not a team holding out this edge, so they should be able to get in for free here. But if this zone does tend to pull northeast, they're going to be in a very tough spot, especially with that reboot coming out.
Yeah, the different types of flavors from teams are going to be prevalent here too. Storm Surge is the big thing. If you don't have enough damage dealt, the server will start to deal damage to you. A bunch of teams already know how much damage they kind of have or need to do, and right now, depending on that, some teams might be a little bit more aggressive, others a lot more passive.
Yeah, and if for those of you that don't know, after we this zone starts closing, so 71 people left alive here. We're gonna have a few teams not expecting this, because you know it is a little bit scary, but luckily for them, Castry goes down to Bevies and Vortexia, and you know, we're not gonna get the reactivation of Storm Surge, as zone does actually pull towards those northern mountains. So everyone on the south side, you know, I'm feeling bad for the Chonkers team, because this has been a full sprint and marathon across the map.
Yeah, they just have to just keep going up and up, and it's mountains they have to deal with as well. Every team's gonna be focused on this position, but also on dealing damage and making sure they don't go down. I mean, this is just so tough with elevation in the mix boop. It's so rough to find a good spot to kind of, you know, hide and base out.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. As we saw, Venno also going down very early on here, so not able to have that first good game. Covert Canyon on con, but sometimes, you know, everything could go perfect, and you could just have, you know, like Chico and Trulix, so you could just have a team right next to you that needs surge, and then your game is ruined, unfortunately. So maybe that's what happened to Venno and Joe here. And Venno, I have seen him clutch out a lot. You know, when he used to play trios with Shadow and Benji Fisher, sorry, he was the clutch master every single time in solo cash, because my man, as a solo, will clutch up top 5s, top 4s consistently. He is one of the most ridiculous up-and-coming players, and I say up-and-coming, you know, very lightly, because I don't think a lot of people give him credit, you know. Joe is considered by a lot of pros to be one of the best creative fighters, one of the best fighters in the game. But, you know, by the majority of people that, you know, follow competitive Fortnite, you know, he might not be someone that you really know. So I want to give credit to him, because my man is ridiculous.
Absolutely. Always putting on a show no matter what team he's on as well, and that clutch factor is the big reason why. Floki and Clement, though, I mean, they're probably hot off the press from last qualifier. They really want to make sure this is the one where they lock it in. And you can already see the struggles. This is heavy metal on all sides, still getting sprayed out across the lines. It's so tough for even the best teams in the closest spots to get inside the zone.
Yeah, and luckily for them, they're 400 of surge all the way from Chonka's side, so I did mention how far they had to rotate, but the surge is solved, and here we go, Venno and Joe. Joe 29 below, and he's gonna get sprayed up by multiple players, and oh no, he goes down early on, and that is not how you want to start your FNCS finals with Uncom Covert Canyon, Shayo.
Not at all. It's going to be Irazumi, though, with Leader, who pick up 2 launch pads, and then Malibuka's here with 2 as well. So we have almost all the rotation on the south side of the map for the whole lobby. They've had a tough time getting into zone now, but they can all just end up using these pads together to push themselves even further into the zone. Malibuka and Mustachio, notice the number on the right, the damage threshold, 116 above. It seems good right now, but yes, as you can see, that number can quickly dwindle away down to just 2 digits, maybe even all the way to 1. Flawless goes down. Jox is getting Raka as well. Karmi falling inside the feed. It's Clement and Floki who were just absolutely tearing up every build with shot after shot. 5 eliminations and 400 damage almost above the threshold before we even start the endgame.
Yeah, and I want to go back to Malibuka and Mersash there. If you looked at the inventory prior, they had the Spider-Man, they had the 2 launch pads. So even though they're only 100 above Surgery into half and half, first moving, the way that you sort of play this loadout is you launch pad towards front side of zone, you box up and then you wait. So they're going to be able to get a lot of tags on players depending on how the zone pulls. But I won't be worried for them because they're going to be more than likely above Surge. But those of you that are not above Surge is Kiko and Marshia. Only one more person needs to be eliminated as the kill feed's going crazy. 24 above. It's so close. No one's really going to be jumping to the boxes though because everyone thinks surely one more person goes down. Surely it's not going to be me that's going to tick below.
And that's always the situation, but then no one ends up falling. It becomes very drastic. 42 damage in total there for Mashi. Very nice. This is such a good angle to be able to land a few shots, but he misses left and right a little bit. Will it matter? We'll see in just a second. Benji picking up a bang. He's still on the feed too.
Yeah, Maush and Kiko, they were contested in the last finals. So the Surge, obviously, you know, the Surge tried to this time I believe they're uncon. As you see, they have 0 elimination. So they're sort of figuring it out, you know, trying to find something different. It's so tough for you to go into a different kind of mindset, Shayo, because if you're so used to being contested, then you know, we don't need to think about Surge. We don't need to think about boxing up and getting tags. And we see that, you know, struggling just a little bit as Clement and Floki now going to get taken out. 5 eliminations for these guys. So, you know, that's already 18 points in total. So it's not a lost game, even if Clement goes down here. But surely he should be fine with 10 chunk splashes here in his inventory.
Unless he gets trapped before he gets to use them. Lots of pressure on his boxes, and he's all out of hard mats. Just wood. That can quickly get absolutely set ablaze and taken away. Clement has to keep splashing. This is not the quietest heal that gets used. You'll notice the players might only even hear one footstep. He's going to have a tough time hiding in this box.
And this zone is absolutely disgusting, Shayo. Push straight across the water, away from congested side of zone. This is not going to be fun. No one with a launch pad, you're going to be drowning.
Absolutely, and the big thing too, there's not 2 big skyscrapers, not many communities of bases built right now. It's all just one big amalgamation of boxes. Everyone's going to start to spread like a virus around on their rotation. They might end up clashing with each other. There's not going to be that much information to be gathered as well, duo to duo. And right now, Benji's kind of abusing that fact. The fact that people can't see him and Savage diving into every box, just absolutely wrecking the competition. And they already have a few eliminations before they get going. Now they're inside the sky. Match are looking very fine as well. They actually get such a good portion of the zone down low ahead of everyone else.
And it's such a beauty to watch Benji and Savage. I mean, these guys could probably play without any comms and they could still do super, super well. You know, they are locked into each other. They are mind readers. And you see that now, you know, 400 above Surge. The mats are looking okay on Benji, but obviously Savage is going to have the majority of the materials because he's the main tarper. As Malibuka, I did mention they were going to be fine on Surge, but I guess the strategy, I mean, the launch pads are gone and the 50 below Surge, Shayo. It's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough. Yeah, absolutely. But they have those Spider-Man web shooters to get all the way ahead. And now this is prime position to start landing shots, but unfortunately, their back wall gets a little bit beamed. They see a few swingers on the left side, but can't actually land the shots. It's too difficult. The pendulum swings way too fast. And now Malibuka, he's trying to go for that big bully from the high ground. Yes, he gets a little bit of shots in, just 2 below. They need a little bit more.
Yeah, and you know, this is a bad zone for them as well, right? Because no one wants to be on that low gun in the water. And you saw them looking down for players on that low gun, but no one's going to be there. I think all of these pros, they have the experience to know you do not want to be on low gun in the water zone because you're just going to be stuck swimming. It's an awkward spot to build as they are now 12 above Surge, 32 people left alive, Shayo.
Maximum focus, though. They swing straight through the air, land on builds that they make themselves and all the way boxed in while they're getting hit by Stirs. That was absolutely amazing, but now it's down to Clement trying to clutch his team's dreams right now. He's going to be inside Genesis' box. He goes for the quick swipe in and goes for the shotgun shot, but it's blocked by a wall. Clement's trying to do whatever he can to stay inside this game. 150 mats. He needs a refresh soon. He needs to just try to get that skin routine going right now, but it's not going to be there. It's not going to be possible. Close box to box. He has to reset the entire Olympic swing on brand new lair. It's all wood builds. It's almost over. Yes, he gets bullied by the man he did pump all the way down to 1 HP. Janice claps back.
And there are 2 people that we don't really see in the game on high ground. T-Chips and Artskill on top of them. T-Chips, you know, a very good French player. Artskill, very, very aggressive player. You know, he does well with a lot of different people. Janice jumps into the park and he takes out 1 more. That's his 3rd elimination of the game. He gets himself siphon, builds up a zone, and push 4 yet again.
Who is going to stop Janus? Because this man has no teammate right now, and he's absolutely tearing through every single box and build. 101 HP effectively. Krusty in front of his wall. They both trade, healing up a few shields. It's about to get crazy once more. He's not even anywhere near the high ground either, so it's going to be chaos near the low.
And Stompy without his boy Arco on the high ground. Now with his new duo, Yoju. Janus gets another one. That's his fourth one of the end game, style.
He's still going all the way, hamming through. This is just an absolutely impossible situation for Janus, but he's finding answers. 3 more options, up, middle, or lower. Where will he go? He looks towards the sky, has a few builds to break, but only 100 mats to his name. High ground, held by 1 floor. Will he interrupt it just shortly? No, he doesn't really go for it just yet. He's hiding. It's a perfect position, but he gets rattled a little bit now. No builds. He has to go for just a shot. A final 50 pot as Kinzel goes down. Benji is still popping in the feed. It's Art Skill all the way up top in the sky. T-Chips finds Kane on the ground. Janus is looking for his next shot, but he can't find anything free. No. The cost is too high. He jumps inside the storm. He's still alive. Big shot, and this time it's on a Savage. Benji claps back. You can't break the duel's mental on the low.
Benji and Savage on the logo takes out another one. 1v2 situation now as Benji goes up, plays super aggressive. He needs to be careful. He only has 55 HP and he does it. Benji and Savage, a 10 elimination win there. You know, they came from not qualifying from opens to winning the first game of the final, Shayo. How do they do it?
I have no clue, but it's amazing on all fronts. The clutch from Janus, the crazy one-man show from Joe as well. It's just insane. And then Savage and Benji on low. It's just nuts. I mean, 2 teams or 2 players are fighting with maximum shield. They have nothing in terms of protection. They're just landing shots. They're all the way out of mats, but they get the victory royale.
Man, we just love to see these things, man. Savage and Benji back at it again in perfect form. We love that.
Absolutely. I want to see exactly what Zeke, Levin, and Reese have to say about that. When boys on the desk, what's up?
Yes, Shia wager. That's what I like to see. Levin, your boys are on top. The 10 Elim victory royale to begin the day. Qualifier number 2. They didn't make it here, qualifier 1, and they said, listen, we were just waiting. We were biding our time. We just wanted to put on a show. We wanted to
believe in these guys because Reese, they have all the chemistry in the world, right? In terms of just the understanding between them, the firepower in end games, it's a match made in heaven, and I can't wait to see how they do over the next couple games because after that, what a way to start.
Yeah, my full analysis of this team has always been, man, if they'd scrimmed, imagine the efficiency that it could have. But these guys have been playing together for so long. Their chemistry is just so good. They stick together so well. They shadow each other. One player looks one way. The other player's already looking at that exact same way. Like Savage leads Benji so well, and Benji just follows that lead. And look, when they have the aim, when they have the mechanics, they pop off in endgame, exactly like we've just seen Victory Royale game number 1, 10 eliminations.
So good. And a lot of these duels, we're doing things in this game, and it's just his first game. They really should not have even been able to do, right? You've got like Seti and Chapix who went down way early, right? And then still make it into the end game. But here we go, that run from Benji and Savage. My goodness. This is exactly the statement you want to have in game number 1, right? Like, this is, Boop had kind of talked about it at the very start of this just first game, momentum, right? This is giving them that momentum to get the ball rolling to ensure that they can look at one of those top 8 spots. As long as they hit that top 8, Levin, they'll be okay.
Yeah, honestly, though, Boop's going to be shaking because if these guys do this well without practice, you know, Boop's snowball's going to be in shambles. Nobody's going to want to practice if they think they can do this good. But no, honestly, you can't do this good without practice because the natural talent these guys have is unmatched, right? They've been doing it for so long. World Cup days we're talking now, right? So, I mean, they are just phenomenal. I was going to say they're in scintillating form, but, you know, that would be an understatement.
I don't know.
It's an understatement for them, though. They are so good right now. They are on point.
Absolutely, no doubt. Like, that was an incredible pop-off game 1. That's exactly what we need to see. A ton of other pop-offs that we saw there. There was a solo clutch from Janus as well. He absolutely fragged out by himself, right? We saw obviously Vortex ended up going down a little bit early. Janus with a single elimination at this point. This is almost at the start moving zone. So many players are left alive at this point, and he managed to get things going so deep into this endgame and clutching up a 3rd place finish by himself. That's so many points purely by this solo clutch we're watching right here alone.
Yeah, and what I've noticed this season with these solo clutches, that typically you want to stay on higher layers as a solo. You know, as a solo, you are just finished. And Janya's doing a great job there as well. He made sure to stay on high elevations when he was low materials and was able to pick people off one by one. He's such a phenomenal solo player as well. So even if it comes down to solo duo, he's going to be just A-okay.
He is the solo invitational champion for a reason. Going all the way back to 2002.
It's a throwback.
Right. Far back. Let's take a look at the standings really quickly before we get ready to jump into game number 2. We got to take a peek and just see how things settled after the first game. No surprise. 10 eliminations, but look across the way, right? Right below Jokes and Sky as well. 10 elims.
Yeah, look, we were telling them, make sure you don't go anywhere near Sasha Manabuka. Clearly they listened and they've had a great game. Really interested to see them in second round. Of course, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, Reese, right? We already saw after qualifier 1. Game 1's just game 1. You got to keep doing that over the next 5 or so games.
Yeah, interestingly, Kinzel Desitos, who we saw contesting Benji and Savage, also in the top 6 right now too, so they didn't fight off Spawn. Both have come to a mutual agreement, clearly in-game not to fight, which seems to have worked out well. Seti and Chapix, remember from the start of that game, we saw them not necessarily doing so good. We saw Chapix go down, Seti clutch up big time, and actually to get a top 8 on the leaderboards after losing a teammate early and getting them rebooted. Now that is capitalizing on a shambles game.
And that was worst case scenario for them in terms of shambles, right? A game starting like that was awful for them. So they did that well, even in a game that was bad.
Well, they had 2 launch pads, so couldn't, it's not the worst.
you say that, right? But we did see a lot of teams struggle, right, in terms of being able to get their loot up mid-game, right? In terms of once you move away from Osborne, being able to get the resources required to have a good end game. I'm sure, right, launch pads will help in terms of nullifying that, but you know, to have that kind of game is still very impressive. But not a surprise because again,
I can't add you, add
in the
me,
region,
Spider-Man.
in the world actually. No,
Spider-Man, add me.
I love it. I love it indeed. There we go. Timer is all said and done.
Add you.
Which means we got to go back with Boop and shall wait for game number 2 of qualifier.
I do. Too many people are adding you.
Look at Benji.
Boom!
It's all about the twos right now, and in game 2, it's all about fixing those mistakes, right, Boop? It's all about seeing what happened in game 1. You just clashed with a brand new team. You might not be used to contesting. How do you change things to get better?
Hold on a second, Sha. I just want to call out real quick. How dare you say that I would not want Benji and Savage not to do well because of practice? How dare you? That is a violation. I'll be honest though, you know, not everybody is Benji, Fishy, and Savage. Not everyone has played since World Cup. You know, they're not going to have that sort of, you know, chemistry. So, you know, you still need your practice, kids. Please don't kill my server.
We'll see exactly how things roll in practice or no practice. Thunder and Floki have had enough of experience, at least, at Chonkers, at just playing inside this round 3 of qualifiers. And over again, it seems as though they get right there at the precipice of greatness, at just that qual line, but then fall a little bit short. See what happens now. They're leading the lobby 2 is going to be tough.
Yeah, these early game fights at Chonkers, they are tough. They're very low material count fights. They're basically 50-50. I see a lot of teams land south and north side and splitting it, but this time Lechi not wanting to split it, and that is his demise here as he gets taken out. But Link there is very nearby. He needs to be careful because, Floki needs to be careful here because Link is creeping up.
It's always this situation at Chonkers. I feel like you've done such a good job overall. You've won a big fight, and then an entire new duo comes in. That's usually even more stacked, finding a little bit of more luck inside these chests, getting the weapons they need exactly, and you're going to be a little bit damaged on that fight before as well. Coming to so low, Floki has to do anything and everything he can on this defense, but they have limited materials as well. This entire game just started. You can see it on this player as well. 97 not going to have too much to use. Gets inside. One of the whiplashes that's buffed up with those tires, but doesn't really have his license right there. He's still trying to drive past these trees. Link doesn't have a tire. I think these guys are better off running.
I mean, this is what you get when you give kids a car. You do not want them to be behind the wheel of a very, very fast car. And interesting for them to disengage in this position. I wonder if they saw something that I didn't, because if I'm looking at the map there, bottom right, I only see a team very nearby, but no one was sort of aggressing towards that spot.
Don't let this man.
So not really sure why they actually want to disengage, but I guess they do not want to sort of risk their game here this early on, trying to go down. You know, they have good loot. You know, you can, like I said last time, you can split the spot with 3 different teams. You can come up completely fine, so.
Definitely want that damage as well. Sometimes you find an easy third-party opportunity And an easy third-party opportunity is just double the easy, because third-partying is what you want to do inside these modes. Nova, though, is going to try his best interpretation of starting a fight. It's not going to be received that well, though. Hardfine has to force himself to a door edit. Looks like all the edits are struggling right now. Those extra 2 seconds might have made a difference inside that shot, but Hydro's going to be there anyways to kind of defend and get the trade. Now an entire new duo is rolling in. The Siphon mats are there from Belusi and Hydro, but the damage, it's kind of taken its toll. The shield's not there for this fight. They have to back off. They have to heal.
That was a little bit too close there with that SMG tracking there for Hardfine. I mean, those guys, they struggled for Surge last game. This time, I guess they tried to go a little bit more aggressive, but it did not work out for them. And Belusi takes them out very swiftly. But Boofink here and Bevies, they are very, very close by. And this is the issue with fighting off spawn. You do not want to have a prolonged fight. And you see, bottom right, the timer. This fight has been going on for about 4 minutes, right? So it gives other teams more than enough time to loot up very slowly, get the material count up, and come to third party Shio. As Bevies, with this Ranger assault rifle on the high ground, it's not going to do too much damage. He does have that stinger in his inventory, but they're hiding. They don't want to show themselves yet. And I think that's a smart move, because you got to be a little bit scared of your Bevies here, because you don't want to be creeping in towards enemy builds and then just run into the face of a shotgun or something like that.
Absolutely. He has an arsenal of assault rifles right there. It's like 3 inside the inventory. Stinger SMG to pack a punch as well if he gets close. But he is looking to deal a little bit more damage before he gets rolling in. I like the fact that he's using his ammunition to kind of give himself a medium range engagement instead of being really close to the wall with a pickaxe. He has so many magazines to go through in doing this. Meanwhile, Malibu and Mustache, they're going to have a little bit of a rough time on their own. Some friction off of spawn at Camp Cuddle. Lots of different teams around them, but they seem to be handling it pretty well.
Yeah, I think this is fine for them. Oh, yeah, there you go. It is fine completely. Havix gets taken out there, and I think his teammate Smeki was taken out very early on. And this is fine for Malibuka, especially if we consider the zone here. It looks like zone does pull far bottom right. You know, those are one of the worst zones for Malibuka and Mercedes. We've seen them struggle with these far eastern zones a lot of the time. So I think they're happy to have the surge from this position. So they can just farm it out now, get the material.
Bevies takes a big shot himself, down to 150 HP. I like the fact that he's staying up high a little bit, denying a lot of angles. Yep. And as a result, also clearing the fact that there's no other third parties around him. He would have got shot at some point, so he can really focus on this low ground fight. They have a huge pinch with Fink here on the left side as well. And they are actually finally dealing damage. Hydro loses his shield.
Yeah, and you do really want to be careful in these early game fights. And you see, you know, they're taking that strategy of basically just spraying from far away, evaluating the situation, and kind of seeing what comes to fruition. Because you don't want to just start smacking walls all of a sudden. You don't know if these guys have very low material counts. They're going to instantly edit out onto your face and then try to pump you or run with an SMG. You know, you got to be a little bit careful here. And as he gets traded, but there we go. There comes the third party yet again. And what I said, you got to be so careful. You got to evaluate the situation, and not even in front of you, but also behind you, because people are going to be hearing those shots coming out, and they're coming in for Storm Surge as well. And Billfink here unfortunately has to run away because his teammate gets eliminated as another team tries to sneak back in, and it was Link in default, and Hydra also now disengaging. And you know, their inventory is not looking too hot.
Not at all. And even though this is kind of drastic on the side of Fink as just being a solo player, you have to realize, yeah, it's not the worst and not the, you know, absolutely disastrous situation that Hydro's in, because they've got no build whatsoever. Now, though, 2 players coming in, fully shielded up, full mats. This is where Fink's in a little bit of trouble.
And this is exactly why Link in default, they disengage very early on in Chonkers, right? This is the exact same reason. You saw this team try to third party that fight over there in the Butterbond split. They got eliminated by the third party. Link in default now, they realize that is such an option near Chonkers. There's so many teams around there. There's a lot of those rifts as well nearby that you can just get landed on by, so you got to be careful. As we move on to a replay here by Crawl, back yet again at the boat spawn, and I guess these guys are just committing to landing boat, which is surprisingly enough, as we have Kiko, and I mentioned them being uncaught, but it looks like this time someone landed on them, and Gooden and his duo, they're taking out Kiko and Marsh very early on. Unfortunately, not a good game 2 here for them.
And you can say in all these kind of post early game eliminations, like in between the early mid game, it's a lot more organized madness. It's a ending fights in an instant. There's no more dragged out fights that Boot was talking about all the way from the early game. Now it's just people picking up the scraps from around the map, and now we'll kind of transition to that point where we'll see a lot more bases, a little bit more farming finally as people get out of their spots as well. Janice, Seti, Savage, all on your screen right now.
Yeah, and you look at the bottom left here, sorry, bottom right here for Savage and Benji. This zone is pretty good for them in terms of surge tags. There's a lot of mountains on this north side. There's a big body of water that can hold out on players. But, you know, they got to get out of tilted soon enough because they're going to miss a lot of opportunities. And teams realize how hard this zone is to play. You know, this southern zone near Rocky Views, there's so many mountains. You do not want to be late here as Benji and Savage, you know, with 3 minutes left to go until the zone is closed, they're finally coming out now. So I'm not really sure how much tags they got in, and they may have gotten a few off spawn to justify this sort of late rotate out of this draw spot. But as you can see, teams are now outside of this mountain near tilted, and they're kind of stuck down here, Shayo.
Yeah, it's kind of rough, close and personal. It's kind of funny too because you're trying to get out and then you're tossed into these wacky situations. EU in general has been kind of wacky as well. You'd assume some people will be landing snipes, but you just saw that stat on screen. 4 pickaxe eliminations. I mean, off spawn is getting that crazy. People don't have weapons. They're going for that disrespectful swing.
Yeah, you don't really want to run a sniper. There's so much you can carry in your inventory this season. You know, you have your peppers, you have those shield case that Benji's carrying. Interesting enough, he has 2 in his inventory. You don't really see that too often, but those are great. Shayo, did you know you can throw a shield keg on a car and it works?
Really?
Drive with it. I don't know if they patched it, but I'm pretty sure they did. I mean, sometimes these cool things get patched very quickly, you know, but, you know, it used to be a thing, so maybe it's still possible to do it, but, you know, I don't think you're going to be risking it in the finals here because you don't want to be testing out that thing in the final situation. You're just going to do what you know, and what Janus and Vortex do know here is aggression as they try to jump near this team of Anas and Pink. And Anas and Pink, they are the opposite of aggression, I have to say. You know, these guys have some of the lowest average eliminations in any sort of lobby, in any sort of final. And, you know, Janus and Vortex, you know, they don't know it's them, so they disengage. Yeah. If they did know it was them, maybe they would want to, you know, get a piece of them, but I don't know, Shayo.
Yeah, they're kind of like the hot knife, and then you see Pink is kind of like the butter, right? But both teams are in a dark kitchen, so they're not going to be able to know exactly who is who. And luckily, no one gets sliced in half. Vortex and Janus end up prioritizing position, which is very smart. And sometimes we see that. We saw it a lot in the history of FNCS. These aggressive teams get a little bit too into that mindset and end up kind of spiraling their game, tunnel visioning on that aggression. It's really cool to see Janus and Vortex not only play so well, but know when to turn on the aggression and then turn it off and go for position.
Yeah, and that's sort of a thing that comes back to mentality, right? These guys, you know, you have something practiced. Let's say you get a coach, and your coach tells you you need to box up on this spot, you need to go over here to get storm surge tags. But when you're in the moment, you are in fight or flight response mode, and basically all that happens gets thrown out the window. You know, there's that. I don't know exactly what the saying is, something about being punched in the face and you don't know what's happening, but you know that's exactly that sort of feeling. You know, you're gonna be going for the aggression. That's what you know. That's what you know. That's what you've done before. And I guess Vortex and Janus, they're trying to do that yet again, but you know they do have a little bit of restraint as we see Joe and Venno. They already have 2 eliminations, interesting enough, Shayo.
Yeah, they're going in. The word for that for me is frazzled. When you get frazzled, you get a little bit jostled in the brain, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know exactly what I'll be honest. I might need to open a dictionary here on the second monitor.
Get a lesson from Levin, right? This man has like 3 dictionaries
Young Shakespeare
rolled up. Yeah, young Shakespeare with the 5-syllable words, but we'll see how it goes. Although, hold up. So this is a little trick as well. That's what it is. You got to wait a few seconds for the threshold to update. I always have a knee-jerk reaction to seeing a team below surge, but Benji and Savage, this one is solidified, 22 below.
Yeah, and that's what I said, right? They took way too long to get out of Tilted Towers. Another 22 below surge, right? Everyone that they wanted to get tags on is already rotated past them. And, you know, there's a few teams still behind them. They're waiting right outside of zone because they know that they can get most of the tags outside of zone here. But, you know, they're going to be in a tough spot. And I feel like, you know, I hate to bring up practice, but this is where experience comes back into, is that these sort of situations. You know, maybe I'm just, you know, maybe I'm just trying to push my agenda just a little bit too much.
Now we'll see how it goes. 22 above now. It seems like when it's Benji and Savage, the world just aligns for them in certain moments. And right now, it kind of has to. You see that beam from the sky. That's not a visual error at all. When you're watching things on broadcast right now, we have this thing. Whenever we're inside this big overarching drone shot, you can see exactly who's in first place. You can even see at the bottom left right now, it's a new addition to this season. The team and the number beside them is actually their live leaderboard spot in-game for the moment. So after that first one, it's Benji and Savage as team number 1 in first place. We go to the other side of the board. Let's magnet all the way down to the South Pole. In 31st, it's Analex X Squeeze.
Yep, 8 below here. And this was actually a decent zone for Analex and X Squeeze, surprisingly enough. But you know, they are going to get pushed here, so that's a blessing in disguise for them. You know, you always love it when you're below Surge and the team pushes you because, you know, you're on the back foot, but they have to run into you, so you know you're going to get guaranteed tags. Benji Savage, meantime, 174 above Surge, managed to get in, and you did see that he utilized that shield keg, you know, to trade Surge, because you're going to get a lot of Surge shield back from that shield keg, so you're able to trade a lot of Surge, take 50-50s, and that's a free shield and Surge spot there coming out there.
Absolutely. It's all about that balance. You might be even asking back home, kind of looks different from the game. Everyone plays themselves. Why aren't people pushing boxes all the time, 24/7, just going for the fights? You don't want to risk getting damaged yourself. Savage and Benji go for a quick drop down right there, but don't find that much success. They're going to stop a little bit because they need to make sure they temper their resources for the rest of the game. They also have a long ways to go. I count about 10 different teams in front of them, and this is a very good personification for what it looks like for everyone. The house is burning. Everyone's about to basically catch on fire. They need to move very soon. This is not a comfortable place to be in at all. Benji is in a world of hurt.
The roof is on fire. I mean, and unfortunately, you know, it does go back out. You know, I thought we were going to see some spicy things there. You know, the teams that did well last game, Benji and Savage, and they tilted. Not a bad zone for them, but they're going to be one of the last teams to rotate too, and they don't have a car, they don't have any sort of rotates, and they have a team right next to them that's going to be holding them out for Surge as well.
Excellent squeeze. They might be down on Surge and looking for a few angles. They seem kind of desperate. Seems like another, you know, predator hunting its prey situation, but Andalex has basically an invisible radar on. He knows exactly what people are thinking. That's just the way he kind of plays the game. The fundamentals always just so strong in knowing what's...
Yeah, but you know, again, the zone is tough for them. I mentioned this, the mountains, the hills. There's going to be so many teams on this edge, and Andalex is the forced to launch pad, but everyone's eyes is on them because I think that shield crack came out here. Andalex is going to get sprayed up by everyone, and he's eliminated out of the air. XQ's being a very good teammate here, trying to pick him back up, but honestly, I don't think this is a move. I think you need to run away with the Spider-Man because people are going to be jumping in, and that's exactly what's going to happen. These Stinger SMGs coming in, they're jumping, they're going through, and XQ misses the low launch as well. He's panicking just a little bit. He gets pumped yet again, and his Spider-Man is going to reset. He's able to get past this side now, away from line of sight, but again, this team is being a bit of a nuisance here, Shayo.
He's got a few things to kind of delay a little bit of time, but they got web shooters of their own. Everyone here can beat Peter Parker today. This is going to be absolutely unfortunate for XQ. A big shot landed down, but it's not going to be enough. A launch pad behind for many teams on that south side up to